Reddit user at Glasswindow posted this story in 2021. It didn't get much attention at first, but the few who read it couldn't sleep that night. She was a 25-year-old woman living alone in a quiet apartment in Portland, Oregon. After ending a long-term relationship, she decided to move into her own space, wanting peace and solitude. The apartment was old but charming. Brick walls, wooden floors, creaky stairs, everything had character. But from her very first week, she started noticing small things. It began subtly, almost imperceptibly. At first, it was just the sound, a faint, distant murmur that she could barely register. But as the days turned into weeks, it grew more distinct, more persistent. It was always there, lurking in the background, a constant companion in her otherwise quiet apartment. At night, lying in bed, she'd hear soft creaking. It wasn't the kind of creaking you'd expect from an old building settling. Not from the ceiling above, where the plaster sometimes groaned under the weight of the world. And definitely not from the neighbors, who were usually quiet as mice. This was different. But from inside the wall, just beside her bed, it was a disconcerting sound, a subtle scratching, a faint rustling that seemed to emanate from the very structure of the building itself. It was unnerving, to say the least. She assumed it was just pipes. Old buildings make noise, right? The plumbing was ancient, a labyrinth of metal veins snaking through the walls. It was probably just the water pressure fluctuating, or the pipes expanding and contracting with the changing temperatures. That had to be it. But the sounds got weirder, louder, more insistent. Sometimes like something was scratching the inside of the wall. Not just a gentle scraping of pipes, but a deliberate, rhythmic scratching, as if something was trying to claw its way out. It was starting to get to her. One night, driven by a mixture of curiosity and mounting dread, she tapped the wall. A tentative, hesitant rap, barely audible above the ambient hum of the city, and something tapped back. A distinct, undeniable response. 3 sharp, precise taps that echoed in the sudden silence of the room. She froze. Her blood ran cold. A wave of icy fear washed over her and paralyzing her in place. She tried to convince herself it was her imagination, a trick of the mind brought on by exhaustion and paranoia. But deep down, she knew it was real. She didn't sleep that night. Every creak, every groan of the building sent shivers down her spine. She lay awake, listening intently, her heart pounding in her chest, waiting for the next tap. The next sign that she wasn't alone in her apartment. The next day, she called the landlord. He laughed it off.
Probably raccoons in the wall, he said. Happens all the time in these old places.
But it wasn't a raccoon. Over the next few nights, she kept hearing footsteps inside the apartment. But every time she got up to check, nothing was there. Then came the whisper. While brushing her teeth one night, she heard it. A low whisper, so faint it was almost inaudible. It came from behind the bathroom mirror. The unsettling feeling from the night before lingered. A knot of anxiety tightening in her stomach. Sleep offered little respite. Haunted by fragmented images and the chilling sensation of being watched. As the first rays of dawn peeked through the blinds, she knew she couldn't ignore it any longer. Her hands shook, a visible manifestation of her inner turmoil, as she steeled herself to confront the source of her unease. With a deep breath, she carefully removed the mirror the next morning. Behind it, nestled within the drywall, was a dark void, a small hole in the wall. It was perfectly circular, almost as if it had been deliberately carved out. Big enough for a human eye to watch through. A shiver ran down her spine as the implications of her discovery sunk in. The unsettling feeling she had been experiencing wasn't just paranoia. It was a chilling reality. But there was something else that caught her attention. Scattered around the base of the wall were old, crumpled tissues, stained and discarded, and a disturbing collection of food wrappers, remnants of late-night snacks consumed in secret. The scene painted a disturbing picture, suggesting someone had been spending a significant amount of time hidden behind the wall. Someone had been watching her from inside the walls. The realization hit her like a physical blow, stealing her breath and sending a wave of nausea through her. The privacy she had taken for granted had been violated. Her personal space invaded in the most insidious way imaginable. Panic clawed at her throat, but she managed to regain a semblance of composure. She called the police, her voice trembling as she recounted her horrifying discovery. They arrived promptly, their presence a small comfort in the face of the unknown. They searched the entire apartment, meticulously examining every nook and cranny, but found nothing. No one. No crawl space. No secret passage. The officers were baffled, their initial skepticism slowly giving way to concern as they realized the gravity of the situation. They checked the attic, the basement, even the building's ventilation system, but their search yielded nothing. It was as if the intruder had vanished into thin air. Despite the police's assurances, she couldn't shake the feeling of being there. Despite the police's assurances, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. That night, as she lay in bed, every creak and groan of the building sent shivers down her spine. She heard breathing. Not hers. It was shallow and raspy, a sound that sent her heart racing, coming from the wall again. The same wall where she had discovered the hole. The realization that the intruder was still there, lurking just inches away, filled her with unspeakable terror. She screamed, a primal sound of pure fear that echoed through the apartment. Driven by adrenaline, she packed a bag with trembling hands, throwing clothes and essentials haphazardly into a suitcase. She didn't stop to think, didn't stop to reason. She just needed to get out. Slept at a friend's place for the next week. The experience left her deeply shaken, her sense of security shattered beyond repair. She couldn't bring herself to spend another night in that apartment, haunted by the feeling of being watched. Eventually, she moved out, leaving behind not just the apartment, but also a piece of herself. Weeks turned into months, and the unsettling experience began to fade into a distant memory. She tried to rationalize it, to convince herself it was just old building noises, settling sounds, or even an overactive imagination fueled by late-night horror movies. But a few weeks later, while idly flipping through channels, she saw a breaking news report that sent a chill down her spine. Another woman, same building, same floor, had called 911 after hearing strange noises emanating from within her walls. The news anchor's grave tone hinted at something far more sinister than a simple plumbing issue. This time, the police responded with heightened urgency. They meticulously investigated every nook and cranny, every shadow and crevice. They tore into walls, explored forgotten spaces, driven by the desperate plea of a terrified resident and the unsettling echoes of the previous incident. And this time, their persistence paid off. This time, they found it. What they discovered was beyond comprehension. A hidden world, a secret dwelling nestled between the walls of two unsuspecting apartments. A homeless man, a phantom figure, living between the walls of the building. He had been secretly inhabiting this bizarre space, undetected, for years, watching tenants come and go, sometimes sneaking into vacant units under the cover of darkness, pilfering their food to survive, sometimes just staring through cracks in the walls, his eyes like dark voids, observing the unsuspecting lives unfolding before him. And then they found it, a weathered, leather-bound journal, its pages yellowed and brittle with age and crime. He had a journal. Inside it, a chilling testament to his obsession. drawings, pages filled with disturbing sketches, meticulously detailed drawings of the women who had lived in the apartments, portraits of unsuspecting victims, captured in moments of vulnerability, their lives unknowingly documented by a hidden observer, including her, knowing what lurked within those walls, the secrets they concealed, the unseen eyes that had watched your every move. Would you stay one more night in that apartment? Let us know in the comments what you would do. Share your thoughts, your fears, your reactions to this unsettling revelation. And if you love real horror stories, tales that blur the line between reality and nightmare, stories that linger in the shadows of your mind long after they're over, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. We deliver new nightmares every week, guaranteed to keep you up at night.